Hello, my friends. It's Ranger Russ back at the Meigs Point Nature Center for another one of my favorite animals. So this is going to be a really cool one. I hope you all enjoy it as much as I do. It's an absolutely fascinating animal we're going to be talking about today. So let's first talk about the Meigs Point Nature Center. We are a Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection facility. And currently we are closed, but as soon as we do open, I hope that you can come down and visit us. All the exhibits and the programs that we do here at the Nature Center are based on animals that can be found in Connecticut. Animals or environments that are found throughout Connecticut. So we stay really local to Connecticut wildlife and plants and the environment. All right. Let's get right into the animal today. This is going to be another one of those where you have to try and figure out what the animal is before I tell you. The first thing I'm going to show you is the animal's track. So here is the track of our animal today. All right. Any guesses yet? So if you saw our tracking program that I did a few days ago, if you missed it, you can go to meigspointnaturecenter.org to see our other programs. It's in the Virtual Learning Center, or you can go to the Meigs Point Nature Center YouTube channel. So I see bear, raccoon, not yet. Let's take a look at the skull. So this is the skull. All right. Now look at the teeth. Notice these are slightly orange. This is an old skull, so they faded a little bit. Normally these would be bright, bright orange. Okay. Muskrat is close. Getting close with muskrat. A lot of raccoon guesses. Raccoons are omnivores. They're going to have different teeth. If we look at these teeth, these are the teeth of a herbivore. So these are plant eaters. Nice flat teeth here. Nice chewing teeth in the back, and somebody's got it there. It is a groundhog. So this is the pelt of the groundhog. Notice the color. It's a very gray, gray-looking pelt. This is kind of like a squirrel, though. There aren't really gray fur in here. It's white and black fur with a little brown mixed in, so it appears to be gray. So again, a groundhog or a woodchuck. The animal has two names, two common names here in Connecticut, groundhog or woodchuck. This is the silhouette, what you would expect a woodchuck to look like. Okay. It's a little bit smaller. I see a couple of beaver guesses there. This is smaller than a beaver. The beaver is a rodent like the woodchuck, but the beaver is the largest rodent that we have in Connecticut. This one's quite a bit smaller. Now, again, I'm going to say the teeth of our rodents are bright orange usually because they have iron in their teeth. So that's a really good way to tell rodents from other groups. So again, it is an omnivore. These are plant eaters. Occasionally they'll eat insects, or maybe if there's a bird's egg that they can get, they'll eat that as well. But this is a diurnal animal, okay? So their eyes are not really large for the size of their head because they're out during the day. Also, their eyes are right up near the top of their head. And that is so that they can look out for predators. They get a lot of predators from above. The birds of prey, the big hawks, are going to love to eat these. Typically not an owl because, again, these are active during the day and the owls are more active at nighttime. But it does have to watch out for the red-tailed hawks and the larger hawks as well. So it will also have to watch out for coyotes, fox, things like that will also like to eat them. Now let's go back to the track for a second. You can see this is a the front track or the foretrack, and this is the hind track. Very similar tracks. Some of our animals, like the skunks and raccoons, have a very different foretrack to hind track. So, and you can see there are claws. For the woodchuck, those claws are really for digging holes. Okay? And I have a diagram back here of a typical woodchuck den, and we're going to talk about that. So let's take a look. Hopefully you guys can see that pretty well. So their tracks, their dens will be up to 42 feet of tunneling. And they dig lots of different tunnels, and there's a really good reason for that. If you look over here, this would be the main entrance, and they actually leave a tower. This is called the tower. All the dirt that's dug out, they pile it up, and that's so they can sit outside and look for predators. That is their lookout point, their tower. They will also dig dead-end tunnels that don't really go anywhere. That's to confuse predators. If a predator were to come down here, maybe a fox could fit in the hole, because woodchucks get pretty large. They could go down and they would run into a dead end, and the woodchuck could escape, because they always have a back door. There's a secret entrance, which they don't leave a pile of dirt around. They don't use it regularly, so there's not a lot of scent or anything that would attract a predator. This is their escape tunnel. So they're going to have an escape tunnel. Now, in the summertime, other animals might go down into their tunnels. Frogs and toads might come down in here to get into a moisture area to keep from drying out too much. Sometimes turtles, box turtles, will go down here to look for worms and other things that box turtles like to eat. And they will come down, and you can see this is my sleeping woodchuck, because they also have a cavity where they're going to hibernate. So this is one of our true hibernators. It's really, really cool. When they are hibernating, they are slowing everything down. So their body temperature will drop to about 37 degrees. That's just a couple of degrees above freezing. If they got below freezing, they wouldn't be able to survive. So their body temperature drops until they're about 37. Their heart rate slows down about 4 beats per minute. So that's a really slow heartbeat. Also, their breathing slows. They will breathe once every 4 minutes or so. Imagine that, one breath every 4 minutes. So they are really slowing themselves down. That way they can go for 5 months. These guys can survive 5 months in hibernation, 5 months without food. Imagine that, going 5 months without a meal. Really spectacular. So they also have other tunnels. So this tunnel, this is where they would have their babies. They can have up to 9 babies, and they will keep their babies in the den with them. Now, they only go out when it's time to eat. Most of the day, they're actually in the den. They go out for 2-hour stints. They'll go out, eat. They eat a lot. Everybody says they eat like pigs. So that's why they got the name Groundhog. They will eat and eat and eat, and then they go back in the tunnel. If they need more food, then they go out again, but they're only going to stay out again for about 2 hours, and then they're going to go back into the tunnel. So they have to eat pounds of food, like 5 pounds of food a day, okay, so that they can build up. They have to build up their weight, and they have to double their weight over the summer. By the winter time, when it's time for them to hibernate, the reason they're able to do that is they've got lots of fat, and that's what keeps their body temperature from getting too low. So it's really cool. They have to eat a lot of food, and then they just go and sleep for 5 months. Okay. I'm seeing some questions. What do they call a groundhog that drives recklessly? A road hog. There's another joke. That's cool. Do we have any other questions? Let me just scroll back here, see if we have any questions. How much wood can a woodchuck chuck? I wonder how many people know the answer to that. How much wood can a woodchuck chuck? You guys tell me how much wood you think a woodchuck can chuck. All right. So they have lots of different tunnels, and there are lots of animals that will use their tunnels. They're not the only ones that hibernate in their tunnels. Skunks and other animals will go down into the tunnel. After the woodchuck has gone into hibernation, other animals will go down and use one of the dead ends to hibernate as well. And then the last thing that they do with their tunnel is that's where they go to the bathroom. And it's really interesting because if they have a tunnel where they go to the bathroom, let's say that this is where they go to the bathroom, they will go to the bathroom in the tunnel and then they bury it. And then they'll come back, they go to the bathroom again, and they bury it again. So the tunnel will start to get larger as they're burying more and more of their scat. So it's really cool that's how, they need 46 feet of tunnels through there. Let's see. A woodchuck can only chuck as much wood as a woodchuck could chuck. That is the correct answer. They can chuck 2 hours of wood. All right. Do we have any other questions? So, we need to remember that these are herbivores. So they're going out, and that's why people tend to not like them, because they will raid your gardens. They'll get into your garden, and they eat a lot. So they're eating pounds of food each day out of your garden if you don't have your garden fenced off. They can tunnel, so they will sometimes tunnel into a garden. They sometimes don't just have 2 entrances. Sometimes they could have 3, occasionally even 4 entrances. If a skunk wants to share the tunnel, does the woodchuck allow it? So typically the woodchuck, if the woodchuck is still in the tunnel, it's going to be already in hibernation. They don't really care. The skunks come in later than they do and leave earlier than they do. So the woodchuck can hibernate and not even know that a skunk was there. Another thing that the tunnels are used for, because rabbits will go down into the tunnels, fox will use an old woodchuck tunnel as a den. Rabbits will also use it as a burrow. And also rabbits will run and hide in a woodchuck burrow, even if the woodchuck is living there. If a rabbit is chased by a predator, he'll run down the tunnel and then leave after the predator is clear and safe. So it's really cool that a woodchuck's hole or tunnel is not just for the woodchuck. Other animals will go there to get food. They'll go there to take cover. They'll go there to keep cool. They go there to hibernate, just like the woodchuck. So it's really cool that when a woodchuck digs all of these tunnels, those tunnels become an entire habitat. That's an entire place where a food chain begins to interact, because you're getting animals eating in there. You're getting animals taking shelter there. All right, do we have any other questions? I'm going to show you again the Woodchuck Pelt. Now, this doesn't have the tail of the woodchuck. They have a short tail, only about 3 or 4 inches. Basically the same color. It's a little bit darker than the rest of their body. They have pretty much the same color on their belly as they do on their back. Some animals have camouflage front to back. They can bite pretty hard. We did have a woodchuck here a few years ago, and he tended to bite. I could hold him, and he would sit there, and you could pet him. He was really fun. And then every once in a while, he would get really upset, and he would bite. I actually have scars on my arm, and then a couple of scars on my leg where he just, for some reason, decided he didn't want me to be sitting on my lap anymore, and he'd just bite right into me. But in general, they're not aggressive. They're really shy. They're really smart. They need to be able to avoid predators. So people that have them raiding their gardens or have them living in their yards, when you try and get rid of them, they're really difficult to trap a woodchuck. They don't typically go into a trap. They're smart enough to avoid them. And there's plenty of food out there, so if you try and bait the trap with something, they're just going to eat all the grasses and things that are around it. They do eat a lot of grass as well as fruits and vegetables and some bark. They will gnaw on bark. All right, let's see. I believe in some southern state, groundhog is in decline. I don't know that they're in decline. I know that internationally they're listed as a species of least concern. Here in Connecticut, they're not listed at all because we don't have any issues with them. But I would not doubt that in some places their habitat might be in decline, which would cause them to be in decline. They do like more open fields, so they don't really live in a wooded area. That's why people tend to get them in their yards, because most of Connecticut at this time is forested, so they have to go out into open areas. So they become a nuisance with golf courses, ball fields, things like that, where you don't want a hole. That's where they become a nuisance. All right, I'm checking to see if we have any other questions. Okay, I'm not seeing a whole lot of questions. There's River. Hello, River. River's from Norway. So, River's my other sister. Some of you saw, I think Rachel's on here too. So both of my sisters are on here this morning. All right. So I hope everybody's enjoying the programs. I hope you learned a lot about woodchucks. I would say that there are a lot of things that make it my favorite animal, because those 46 feet of tunnels are pretty impressive that a woodchuck is going to dig that much. They're digging all over the place. And again, they have different uses for their tunnels. So if that doesn't make you say, that's my favorite animal, then I would have to say you're going to have to find something else about it that's your favorite animal. So my favorite animal is the favorite animal of the day. Hopefully for the rest of the day, the woodchuck will be your favorite animal. If you think so, I encourage you to put up comments. Go to the Meggs Point Nature Center's website, meggspointnaturecenter.org. Visit our virtual learning center, and you can put up your comments and you can send us messages. And if you can, I'd like you to draw a skull of a herbivore. It doesn't have to be the woodchuck, but today I would like you to draw a picture of a skull of a herbivore. Remember, they're going to be different. They're going to have flat teeth in the front, no pointy teeth. They're going to have flat teeth that fit together really well for grinding in the back. And you're missing all those canine or jagged teeth in here. So that's going to be a herbivore. Typically, herbivores are prey, so they need their eyes up on the sides of their head so they can look out for predators coming from all directions. And what else makes them a herbivore? That's pretty much it. So if you want to draw a picture of a herbivore, I would love to see that. Benjamin would like to know if they dig really fast. So they dig pretty quickly. For us, it would be fast. Most people don't dig as fast as they do. But it does take them a long time. It could take them a month to dig all of the tunnels that they want to dig. And again, they're not going to stop digging once they've dug, okay, we have 42 feet of tunnels, or 46, they're going to stop. No, they're going to continue to dig. So typically, once they start living in a hole, it's only going to be 12 or so feet, and they're able to live in the tunnel. So I see Rob is here too. All right. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in this morning. This afternoon, we're going to be doing a very special program. I'm going to Dinosaur State Park. I'm not going to be talking about dinosaurs. If you want to learn about dinosaurs, you can go to their website. It's connected through the Virtual Learning Center on Meggs Point. You can see the dinosaur State Park, I'm going to be visiting their wetlands. They've got some great trails, and I want to see what's out in their wetlands, so I'm going to head up there in a little while. We're going to visit the wetlands, and hopefully we can find some really cool things out in the wetlands. Someone's commenting that they had a resident woodchuck in Killingworth. Again, they're going to be out in your yard because they're not typically living in wooded areas. So that's really cool. All right. Thank you all. I will hopefully see everyone at 2 o'clock from Dinosaur State Park.